Good morning, Charlie.
Good morning, Danny.
Thank you so much for joining me. I'm blown away that you would be happy to be a guest. So I'm so super excited to learn more about you and your acting journey over the last. I was looking was Eastenders the first thing you kind of started on?
It wasn't the first thing I started on, but it was the first kind of break that I had as an actress, I think, many years ago.
It's been a few years, yeah. We're about the same age, so it's a decent amount of time to be going. So I'm excited.
Seeing what we can get away with.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's probably a good place to start, obviously. IMDb and whatnot says EastEnders from 1999. You've just said that you did some stuff before that.
Yeah.
So that would put you kind of mid to late teens. What was it? Why acting? Why did you want to move into this kind of space?
Right back to the beginning. Do you want to hear the story?
Yes. What got you in? What was the?
Yeah.
It's not an easy industry. Like what was what gave you the passion to move into this industry?
It's not an easy industry, and I was from a really small town in North Wales, which made everything seem almost even more impossible. But like so many writers and directors and actors that I speak to, the thing that first got me in was pantomime. So the good old British tradition was my first ever theatre experience. In my local theatre, the Dragon Theatre in North Wales, I went and saw my first pantomime. I was kind of mesmerised by the stage, even in the tiny little space that it was. And so then I did the school nativity plays and, got involved with a local drama group where one of the drama teachers took a real interest in me and kind of gave me one of the lead parts in Willie Russell's Our Day Out. And that was aged around 10 or 11, I think. And I fell in love with this character that I was playing. And we had this scene where she's on the edge of a cliff and she's singing her little heart out, I want more. And why can't it always be this way, surrounded by the trees, and her dreams of freedom. And I don't know, something really resonated with me about, following your dreams. And I think there was a kind of terrifying ease and bliss that I felt on stage, because it is both of those things at the same time. And I just knew that there was absolutely no other option. So I then proceeded to hound my parents for 2 years, letters on their bed at night. I want to go to drama school. Now, London's a 5.5-hour journey from this very small town in North Wales. And so I had, a fight on my hands, and I was very young. And people thought it was just a phase. And my aunties and uncles would be like, when my mum and dad considered it, but what is she going to do? What is the dream? Like, as if she's going to be on the TV. And so they supported me. That's the first thing I have to say, is I had really supportive parents.
Amazing.
I felt and I still feel so grateful and so blessed. We drove to London. And we looked at some drama schools, because I'd got in the Yellow Pages, which is like a directory of phone numbers, this fact, got the phone numbers of Sylvia Young Theatre School and Ravenscourt Theatre School, which was formerly known as Corona, and some others. And we came with my little brother, who was very cute, and drove to London and auditioned for these schools, which was amazing, and I knew I was starting to act out a little bit. And, I was sort of seeing ghosts, and I don't know, I felt like there was a lot of drama around, my childhood. And it's only now that I kind of am doing a bit of work looking back at childhood stuff, I realised my desperate need to kind of be more fulfilled somehow, and how determined I was actually to make that happen. And my brother came along for the ride, like I said, and he was very cute. And so they said, yes, she can come, that's fine. But we're really interested in the boy. Can we, we'd like to offer him a scholarship. So I was like, Rrr. So my brother also came. We boarded with a family in London. My brother got all of the work. He was a child star. He was in really well-known children TV shows. And I sort of sat in the background. And there's this lovely story where I went home one weekend, and it was a 5-hour drive. So my mum had a call from the agent. I was 13 at the time, or 14, had nothing. And my brother had loads. And my agent at 14 had asked my mum to bring me back to London to be the fairy on top of a Christmas tree for an advert. So it wasn't acting really, it was for modelling. And she'd rang my dad and they'd said, look, it's just too far, you can't do it, you know. My dad came home from work from the building site that night and my mum said, you better go and see your little girl. And I was in the bedroom, I just want to have a chance. And my dad said, if I've got to carry you to London on my shoulders, I'm going to get you there to be the fairy on top of that Christmas tree. It makes me cry. And I was. So that was my first ever kind of, my first ever job. And then I did a
That's so sweet.
Yeah. And just like, you know, just so amazing, such amazing parents, like really fantastic. And actually we boarded with a family for a year.
It's very young to... Sorry.
Yeah, really young.
There's a bit of delay in this. In this.
Because I'm the other side. Wow.
So you obviously, I know the beauty of technology. It's great until it isn't. So you started quite young. Was there with your brother kind of getting all of that kind of attention quite early? Was that hard for you to deal with at that point in your life?
I think in my head I'm like, oh no, it's fine. I was really supportive, but there were definitely, because I can't really remember much about my childhood, I have to say, sort of bits and
sure.
bobs, but there would definitely have been part of me that was slightly resentful because it was my dream, you know, it was my big dream. And actually, slowly but surely, I started to get some work. Then I got a children's series called Out of Tune, and the first thing I was asked to do was a children's series called The Demon Headmaster, and I was like one of 6 demons. Got the script through, was really excited. Where's my part? Demon number 4, you know, whatever it was. Reading through, and I didn't have any lines, so that was another disappointment. But then my brother sort of got a bit older, and he got a bit sort of in that difficult age, not quite a boy, not a man. I started to really get a lot of jobs. I was doing there was a show, massive show here called London's Burning, and The Bill, and a Bold commercial which saw me through college, which was amazing. So I did a year at Arts Educational College where I was studying A-levels, and then at 17 auditioned for Eastenders, which was the game changer, you know, and got the part of this character Janine, which has played a massive role in my life, you know, and even to this day it's been something that I revisit and go back to, and you know, the door's been left open for me, so that's been fantastic.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So you're not because I think I lived in Manchester for 8 years, and you know, would watch the omnibus every weekend because that was just what I did.
Yes.
And I always remember your character being there. So you're not full-time Eastenders anymore?
So I've kind of always gone in and out. I did 5 years and then I left and had a baby, and my intention was to do a lot of theatre because I always had an insecurity that I'd never gone to a proper drama school. My dream was Guildhall or RADA or Bristol Old Vic or Juilliard's in New York, you know. I had these grand kind of dreams about going to drama school at 18, and my path took a very different route, a brilliant one, equally as valid, because, you know, I went straight into work. But what that meant was that I have carried around that insecurity that I'm just sort of addressing now, really, late into my oh my God, I'm 40, past my 30s. In my 40th year, a lot is happening in my 40th year, Danny, so it's all good. 40s are where it's at for me. So
well, they have to be.
Well, they do. But actually, it's quite incredible, like the wisdom that you have and that you can actually start putting into practice without fear. You know, that's something I'm really experiencing at the moment. But we can get further into that.
What does that? Oh, okay, sure.
No.
I was going to be like, what does that mean?
Let's do it. Go on. What was you going to ask?
Well, yeah. What does that mean exactly? Being able to, what was it? What was the phrase you just used? Be able to
live without fear. No, did I say live without fear?
Yeah,
that sounds quite dramatic.
Like that, yeah.
I suppose what I mean is trying to give myself a choice in my career and trying to make stuff happen and be unafraid of judgment around that, because you know, with the insecurity that came from not going to drama school, sometimes as part of me, I think as a woman that wants to stay small, doesn't feel good enough, don't step out of the box, do as you're told. And actually now at 40, I'm out of the box and I'm ready to roar, and I want to make shit happen in a fantastic way. And, you know, being able to really relate to my own story and offer that out to the world somehow, whether that's through characters I play or some writers that I'm working alongside, to actually start trying to make things happen and give myself a choice in my career. So I'm just not at everybody's disposal all of the time. And, you know, as actors, we hear a million no's, and we are, you know, puppets. People pick us up and put us down, whether yes, we want you now we don't want you. And that's tough. And so, you know, trying to carve out a way to give myself a choice in my own career and voice is sort of what I'm trying to do at the moment.
I think that's really important for so many people to be able to get to that point, to feel like that their voice is valued and valid, especially when it comes to your own kind of life and your own career. Like, it's such a crazy industry that we have to live by what other people want, and we can want something with all our heart, but we're so restricted by other people's decisions and wants and needs and where they may see us and pigeonhole us. I'd like to, I guess, kind of delve into that a little bit further. Of, I guess, first of all, you said about the insecurity of not having gone to and done formal training. Where did that insecurity come from?
I don't know. I think maybe from a snobbery of having done soap that I feel can be quite present. Snobbery
that you put on yourself, or snobbery from the industry?
No, not from me, because I think that doing soap, if you can do that, you can do absolutely anything that the world has to offer within the acting industry. It's fast paced. You have to be able to access emotion very quickly. You know, the hours are lengthy, the ability to stay on top of storylines and character choices and acting, you know, and making decisions quickly. I think it's the best training ground you could really ever have. So I certainly don't have a snobbery towards it, but other people within the industry do. And so I think maybe that, and the insecurity from getting a lot of no's, not being seen for things that I'd really want to have been seen for. My intention coming out after my first stint with Eastenders was theatre, you know, so I felt like that could be another great training ground for me, having not done my 3 years, where I can work with directors and get on a stage. And, you know, it's the opposite to what Eastenders is. You have time to dig into your character and rehearse and all those beautiful, magical things. Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
I just lost the camera, that's all. So that's fine.
Don't worry about it. That will happen. It'll pick up the camera on your side, and it'll pick up the camera on my side,
and all those magical things that happen and come alive in a rehearsal space that you often don't have time for, you know. So that was my intention coming out first time, as well as it wasn't my intention to have a baby, but I had a baby, and that was amazing. So my life was quite busy with those two things for a while there. So I think, so the insecurity, it just came from feeling like I never know enough. I didn't know enough. I should know more. I should know a technique. And I've spoken to so many people around this, and people that have been to drama school, and like, I've tried to unlearn everything I learned, because I feel like I've lost something that I had before I went in. Other people who found, you know, their experience was it absolutely gave them a structure, so they weren't sort of flailing in the wind and not knowing, so that it wasn't like, you know, let's do this scene and hope for the best. You know, it's kind of like knew where it was going to land and how it was going to go. That's kind of how iampro has come about for me through that. It's like creating somewhere where I can go and learn all the things I feel that maybe I missed out on, and also a good space, because I think no matter how much you've worked as an actor, it's still good to constantly do the work, you know, to stay on top of it, stay fresh, and that noise is happening again. and to meet like-minded people, you know, and practice, have a practice of stuff.
Yes. No, it's like a gym, right? So
Yeah.
you stop going to the gym, the muscles will go away,
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
the fat will pile on. So
And I think
it's a similar.
I think also, you know, we can get lazy as well. We can get lazy. So that,
Yes, 100%.
that I have to really stay on top of
Definitely.
that.
I was just going to ask if you, I guess, go back. Obviously, you've talked about the insecurity of not having gone to formal study,
Yeah.
which I think is, I guess, a natural thing to think, especially like in Australia, for example. I think there's a lot of snobbery around people potentially that haven't gone to a professional drama school as well.
Right.
So I can definitely understand and empathize with that thought process. With those feelings that you had of like, well, you were getting a lot of no's and whatnot, did you have a particular way that you kind of dealt with that emotionally in those times?
I don't think I really addressed them, if I'm honest. I think there was a lot of kind of pushing it down and just cracking on, and, you know, keep auditioning, keep your head down, keep moving forward, really. Meditation has come into my life, but later on, only really in the last few years. And so, yeah, I think if I knew in my 20s what I know now, and if I was kinder to myself and gave myself, you know, the opportunity to really look at what was going on with me. But I love to party, and, you know, all of that stuff that goes with, sort of goes side by side, a life in the arts, you know. And that never took over, but it was definitely present. And I think that stopped my connection with my true authentic self and dealing with anything that was going on.
Okay, cool. I think I guess it's a really interesting conversation to have, and really, what's the word? Comforting is I think is probably the wrong word, but I'm going to use it anyway. To hear that, you know, the feelings that we get as actors of like, oh my God, I'm getting no's, or I'm not getting auditions, and I'm struggling. Well, you know, when is it going to be my break? For someone that could have been, you know, a series regular on a soap for 6 years, and then taken a break from that, but then is kind of struggling with the same kind of thoughts and emotional whatever's around that. Comforting is the wrong word, but I guess what I'm saying is, for those people listening, it's like, we're always looking for the next thing, right? Like, if I can just get a series regular role, then everything's going to be great, and I'll get my break, and then everything is going to be fine, and I won't ever have to look back, and I won't ever have to work in a pub again or whatever. So I think it's important for people to know that you've got to always keep working, and you've got to keep yourself in check emotionally as much as possible, because there will always be kind of ebbs and flows within the industry and within your career if you're sticking with it.
Absolutely. I mean, nothing's permanent, right? And I think it's really important to be unafraid to share vulnerability, you know, around these things. And to be in touch with that. And what I'm really learning as well is not attaching to outcomes and not being validated by the work. So you have to make sure that, you know, your life is full, and you stay connected to who you are and what you want, and being human, you know, with family and friends, and not be so validated by the work. Because some people I know are like, when they're working, they're super happy and it's like all amazing. And I can be guilty of this too. Yeah. And when I'm not, it's like impending doom. When's it all going to be, you know? So I'm learning not to attach to outcomes, to really enjoy the process. not to suppress my creativity by thinking that there's just one thing, there's so many, ways to kind of express the creativity, and doing iampro has really helped me with so much of that, and working on, some of my own material. I don't consider myself a writer. I'll beat myself across the head because it's like, I feel like, well, I'm not a writer. I know that I'm not. I don't have the need to put pen to paper and for it all to come out, but I have the need to share and to say words and to share other people's words. And so I'm connecting with writers who can help bring these thoughts, characters, stories to life, so there's a way of finding different outlets for your creativity, which I've
100%.
never really understood before. And, and because I've thought, oh, I could never do that, or that's not for me, you have to be, this, super extraordinary special person to do that. And actually, let's throw our hat in the ring and let's just give it a fucking shot. We don't have to be extraordinary. We just have to be willing to be open and I love now saying, I don't know how to do that, but you do. Let's collaborate. Let's do this together. It's all about collaboration for me, and knowing what you're good at and where your talents lie, and then finding people around you to help support that.
Yeah. I mean, it's very easy to fall into the traps of perfectionism, and whether that be, I need to do this scene absolutely perfectly or whatever, that being able to recognize when you're saying stuff like you've just said, that you would say to yourself, I'm not good enough to do that. Like the negative self-talk and the perfectionism that I think as actors face can be really limiting to our own creativity and our kind of moving forward. So it's great to hear that you're kind of got to that point now where you're collaborating and you're creating your own content, which is fantastic.
Well,
you've mentioned iampro a couple of times.
Yes.
Well, trying is better than nothing, right? I mean, trying is better than sitting on the sofa waiting for your agent to call and say, "Hey, I've got an audition for you. You're one of 20 people auditioning," because we're now in self-tape mode and casting directors will see 100 people.
Yeah.
So, trying is so much better than just sitting around waiting for it to happen, which I think we all could fall.
Yeah, no, totally. But I really sitting alongside that little 12-year-old that managed to get my parents to let me go to drama school, and that determination, because I feel like I'm bursting at the seams and there's no other way, which is great.
It's amazing. As you know, over the past few years, self-tapes have become the norm, and they're being used more and more industry professionals to cast all sorts of productions. I've personally recorded self-tapes for theatre, and TV, and film, and commercials, and it makes life easier for casting as they can see more options. But what isn't easy for us actors is finding someone to read for us in the moment that we need them. That's where We Audition comes in. We Audition is an online video chat community where you can call someone that has marked themselves available and they will read for you for your audition. You can use We Audition to rehearse, film, or just ask questions that may help your audition. Last year I had an actor contact me who had never drank alcohol, who just wanted to know how to play drunk. You can sign up to We Audition to be a reader yourself. I log into We Audition most days and I just leave it on, and people call and I accept, and I help them with their auditions. So you can earn a little extra cash doing that, and you can just meet some great people. I even helped one of the main cast of Morning Wars tape an audition towards the end of last year. Look, it's a great platform, and if you're going to sign up to be a reader, it basically pays for itself. So if you want to sign up to be a reader on We Audition, you can get 25% off using the Actors Making It discount code MAKINGIT. So just go to www.weaudition.com and use the code MAKINGIT when you sign up. So,
yes,
iampro. You've mentioned it a couple of times.
Yes.
So let's talk about what iampro is. So obviously I won't put words in your mouth. Tell me about iampro.
So iampro is a platform that came around before COVID hit, before the whole world went online, where I thought, through my own insecurity of not having known enough or learnt enough, I wish there was a place where I had a whole selection, a library of on-demand videos talking about Shakespeare Made Easy or Stanislavski or singing or voice or dialect or individual Shakespeare plays where I could hear somebody talking about them, or and so that was the original idea. And of course, since then it's grown and we've been malleable, and it's kind of shapeshifted slightly, where we now also have live classes with some brilliant acting coaches. And we have mentoring sessions with myself once a month, just so we can all hold each other accountable. I don't claim to be an expert. I'm just one actress who's had a reasonable amount of success, and I'm sharing my experiences with them the best I can. And we have masterclasses from fantastic people. We've had Nicholas Pinnock, Max Beasley, some brilliant British actors, Tamsin Outhwaite. We've got Angela Griffin coming up, and a number of different people, and workshops that happen with artistic directors and facilitators at the National Theatre. And then twice a year, we have a Get Seen event where we have a panel of directors, producers and agents and casting directors, where our subscribers get a chance to perform in front of them, a monologue. And it's really because drama schools can be elitist and they are unaffordable for many. There's limited spaces. And also there are people that, like me, are in small towns across the country who don't have access to get in the room with some of these brilliant teachers. So I wanted to create somewhere where we could offer that, really, and make it affordable and accessible, and give people, regardless of socioeconomic background, an opportunity. It's about possibility and opportunity, and it's about doing the work and showing up. And I always say it to our community, it's about taking action. It's taking action on your ideas, on what you want to do. It's getting to know yourself on a deeper level through what we do. And so basically that's what iampro is. And it's a way, it just brings me so much joy. I love mentoring. I love being with a group of, people who are young in their careers, and so we have a whole different age group. We've got iampro juniors for the little ones, which is really nice. But then we've got, ages 17 plus. We've got a whole different variety of ages on there, which is brilliant. And and just trying to help other people, I think, with what is a very difficult industry.
It is a difficult industry. So it sounds super accessible. Is it only targeted to kind of people within the United Kingdom, or is it kind of really beneficial globally? We have
lovely young lady Jasmine on there from Sydney, so it's global. We're going global, like you, Danny Barton.
Yes, like me, trying to get global. Well, that's amazing. I'll link everything in, but if anybody kind of wants to have a look at it, how do they access it? Is there an app, or is it just online?
Online. So just type in iampro, to Google, www.iampro.com, and it should be top of your Google search, and you can just go on there and have a little mooch about. We've got a scholarship page as well for people who can't afford it. I mean, we've kept it super affordable, and so, but some people, are really struggling, and so we can means test people and offer scholarships as well. So we're really proud of that.
Amazing. That's fantastic. I'll link to everything, obviously, in the notes, so that people can access it super easy. But it sounds great, and it's starting to, obviously, if you started it just before the pandemic, it's starting to get some legs in. Yeah. And some great people in the UK. I was going through your reviews and having some of your guests, like obviously Max Beasley and etc. So you're obviously got some great coaches or great names on there to provide some wisdom as well. Yeah, absolutely. We're getting some great people on board, which is brilliant. If you've listened to the podcast, obviously you've listened to the podcast, so I've kind of mentioned a few times that I'm moving to London at the end of the year. So I was quite interested in the go-see element of it.
to get
given
seen.
that I'm heading over in October.
Fantastic.
So yeah, I will definitely be checking it out in more detail.
Great. Yeah. Well, make sure you look us up.
I will. So you mentioned before when you obviously have a child now, and you took a break. Once you took the break to go into theatre, but then had a child. How did you have to think about? I'm trying to pose this question. I guess in careers, a lot of people have to I mean, I can't begin to imagine what it feels like because I'm not a woman, but having to think and kind of carefully plan when in your career to have a child. Was there did you have to really consider that type of stuff given your success with Eastenders and the work that you were doing?
I did. I was due to do a film, which I actually still did when I was 4 months pregnant. And I can remember having the conversation with my agent, but for me, there was really no choice. It was absolutely the right thing. This has happened to me and my body for a reason. And my time to have my child is now. So I didn't think too far ahead, if I'm honest. I'm kind of, I'm always quite up for change and to just figure things out as we go, no matter what curveballs kind of come your way. So it felt absolutely right for me to have a child there. But it's if I'd have thought about it for too long, then changes to body, changes to life. I didn't know what having a child meant, and it's been hard as well. It has been hard. I mean, there are times when I've gone on tours, but I've been able to manage that because I've been unemployed a lot of the time. So actually, what a normal mum might do, which is your 9 till 6, leave the house at 8, get back at 7. It's been a smaller burst. So I might be away for 3 months, back every single weekend and evenings if we're touring locally or, not far from home. But then I'd have 7 months solidly at home where I don't leave her side, So it's kind of swings and roundabouts, really. But I think every working mum has guilt to some extent. But I just think everything, happens for a reason. And like I said, I didn't think about it too much and just jumped straight in. I was like, well, we're going to make this work, whichever way we can.
Yeah, sure. It's as I said, obviously I'm not a woman, so I can't begin to imagine or empathize how the thoughts that you might have, like you mentioned, like what might happen to your body and whatnot. Which there are other things that as actors we really need to think about, which is so weird that that is stuff that I mean, I've got my own body image issues that I consider all the time, so I can only imagine how that would make you feel. So you just kind of mentioned that you're unemployed a lot, which is something else that I think a lot of actors need to really consider. How long did it take? How long of the bursts of unemployment did it take you to kind of move to the multi-hyphenate of, okay, now I'm going to start collaborating and making my own stuff and iampro and that kind of
only about 3 years ago, if I'm honest. 3 years ago, so around 37. When I'm really lucky because the jobs I've had financially have always seen me through the unemployment, and and Eastenders has always kept its door open for me. So this is the third time I've been back, and I was blessed with the character of Janine because she's wild and fun and complex and interesting and super fun to play. So it's always appealing to me, and I love the people there. It's a home for me, definitely.
Sure.
But yes, there have been big stretches of time where I've not been employed and fallen into fear and, oh my God, is anything ever going to happen? And, and that's when I really started to do some work on myself to help me navigate and manage those situations better than I might have done had I have continued on not paying attention to it. And getting creative, finding other creative outlets and seeing what else I could do.
Do you mind if I ask, when you say the type of work, you've done a lot of work on yourself, can I ask what sort of work that is? Just because, as I say, I think the unemployment and the bits between jobs is not uncommon for actors. Any pearls of wisdom that you have on that we can give other people around that would be super helpful.
I think it's just going on a bit of a spiritual journey. For me, it's been sort of really getting in touch with and trusting the divine energy that's kind of working all around us, the source, God, whatever it is you want to call it. And learning to deeply trust that and to know, what is for us won't go by us, and learning to really listen to my own heart and my own intuition. So just getting in touch with myself on a really intimate level, like mentally kind of discovering who I am. I think because I think we can go through life kind of living on the surface, not tapping into too much, just hoping for the best, push it down. And actually I've gone, let's get deep, let's get intimate, let's go in. And so, a lot of work around that, reading lots of books, different mentors, and different podcasts, just absorbing knowledge, information, learning. I've just become very teachable and staying open to everything that's around me. I've basically learned to pay attention. I've learned to pay attention to what's going on and follow that and follow where my heart and my gut is taking me, opposed to thinking that I can, plan it all out properly. It's just learning to listen.
Yeah, sure. And I imagine after all of that work that you've done on yourself and kind of reaching that point, that all of that will also come through in your work. Because you will have opened up certain parts of you. Yeah,
I think so, for sure. I think it expands the mind in ways, and it's still expanding. I still feel like my mind is only this far expanded. So there's always more learning to do around everything, and it can be a little overwhelming, and it's not an overnight job. It's, it's constant, and not. It's remaining open and all of those things. And but yes, it will relate to my work for sure, because it's allowed me to really listen to what stories I want to tell and share, and what I feel might be relatable and what people might relate to. Yeah,
for sure. Is there I guess thinking to the future, you've had, a pretty successful career. Is there something that you're kind of like really itching to sink your teeth into acting wise that you feel like you've not yet done?
Loads. Oh my God. I want to, definitely theatre again in the future.
Dream part.
Pardon?
Dream part. What would be like
my dream part?
Like if you could be like,
I've always been intrigued to play somebody real, to play an existing human being. I would love to do some more period drama. I think that's always great, sort of immersing yourself in a different genre and different world completely. Comedy. Sure. There's so much, but really, getting some of my own stuff out there, I think is what I'm really working on at the moment.
Yeah, sure. I just realized that I didn't ask you a question that I ask everybody at the beginning of the podcast. And I probably didn't ask it because you started at such a young age, but at the tender age of whatever you were when you were leaving notes on your parents' beds and you decided that you wanted to become an actor, what was your idea at that point in your life of making it? Like, what was the big, hairy, audacious goal of like, once I do this, then I'm an actor and I'm making it and I'm successful?
At that time, when you go for auditions and when you go on jobs, you have to have a chaperone, which I would tell my friends was more a bodyguard. So having a bodyguard on set my chaperone was very exciting to me at that age. Musical theatre was one for me. So that is a childhood dream, and one that I don't think I'll ever see out, unfortunately, because I can't sing. But yeah, my idea of making it would have been being Sandy in Grease. Or,
Okay.
you know,
All right.
I still am. I love, you know, Rent was a game changer in musical theatre for me, and it's just got better and better. And I'm not ashamed to say I love a bit of musical theatre, just because it reminds me. I remember seeing Grease for the first time at the Dominion. We drove all the way out with my best friend from Wales, and it was like, wow, that's where I want to be. That is, and lots of people say, oh, it's because they want to escape their own reality. Whatever. I was so happy, really, as a kid, but I just knew that the town that I was in didn't have enough for me. That, however, how I knew that or what was going on in my little head at that age, I honestly have no idea. But it made me feel alive. Everything suddenly was in colour. So I think,
Yeah, wow.
you know, yeah, being on the stage in musical theatre was probably my idea of making it when I was 10. Or Joseph, being
And do you think,
Joseph. I love Joseph.
and do you, I imagine, because for most people it does once they have been, there's only been one or two people that I've spoken to whose idea of making it hasn't changed since they decided to become an actor.
Oh, really?
What's your, yeah. But I think that's also good. Like the two people that I spoke to, one has been super successful. He has been successful. He's been in like Wolverine Origins films. He's just been a lead in a film. And his goals of making it are still the same. He's like, I am going to write and direct and star in my own feature film.
I mean, that
was what his idea of making it was.
Amazing.
So it's not changed. So what's your kind of take now on, after having been in the industry for 25 years?
Yeah, God. I think now, God, I don't, it's difficult because I feel successful. Like Eastenders was so huge for me. It was so huge. My dad, like, you know, my aunties and uncles have said, but what is she going to do? And I was a massive Eastenders fan when I was little, you know, and suddenly I'm in that show. That was like huge. And now I think like your friend that wants to write and direct, I think working collaboratively, maybe not being a writer and director, but definitely my interest is working collaboratively to bring up my ideas to life and getting those made. I think that would be really interesting. And also being lucky enough to have the opportunity to play, you know, different parts, different roles, different characters. Yeah. But the little girl inside me, if I was on the front of that stage singing, hopelessly devoted, that would be the woman.
Why can't you? Why can't you? Surely, I mean, there are.
Oh, you know what? I know.
Lesson.
I smoked too many cigarettes at college, and I never thought. I don't know why no one ever believed in me as a singer, but I got into Eastenders, and I was full on working, and so all of those other dreams and passions kind of did fall by a little bit, if I'm honest, because you're just so busy.
Do you think? Yeah. Do you think? I am by no means a therapist, and that's not what I'm trying to do. But do you think the kind of insecurity around theatre school could have kind of come from the fact that in your mind your idea of making it was being on stage in musical theatre, and you didn't go to theatre school?
Yeah, maybe.
So therefore, you're not.
Maybe, but I did audition. Yeah, I auditioned for the musical theatre course, and I didn't get onto that.
Oh, okay.
At Arts Educational.
Yeah.
You know, I did the ballet audition, and I got pulled to the front, and the teacher was like holding my hand as a dumpy little thing, like plonking her foot down, because I wanted to dance, really. And so they said, look, we love her, but we think maybe she's better fit for the drama A-level course for now. And then, so I think at that point I might have gone, okay, musical theatre's not for me. And actually you have to follow what you're good at. But I knew that, you know, acting was a deep passion of mine, and I felt like I could bring a script to life, and so that's what I kind of followed.
Yeah. Well, you've obviously
say
done
never,
all right
Danny.
for yourself in the old. Pardon?
Never say never.
No, I never ever say never. I never ever say never. Well, that's amazing. I'll ask one more question. Given your iampro is obviously to help people that perhaps don't have the access and early in their career actors.
Yeah.
If you could give one piece of advice to those actors that are just kind of starting out and kind of beginning their journey, what would it be?
It would be show up and take action. Because so many people talk the talk about wanting it to happen and expecting it to without doing the work. Go to the theatre, read the plays, go to the classes, listen to people around you, be unafraid, and take action. Don't just sit on your ass and think that it's all going to come to you. Make shit happen. That's what I'd say. Apologies for the profanity.
But it does come to us. You know, we can become famous immediately with TikTok and Instagram.
You want to be famous or do you want to be a good actor? That's two different conversations, Danny.
Very, very true. Very true. Charlie, thank you so much for having a chat with me today. I'm so grateful. It has been lovely. I will share everything in the chat for people to get onto iampro. But again, thank you so much. And I look forward to, I don't know, when I get to London. Yeah. Sorry?
I said I look forward to seeing you in London.
Well, yes. Well, when I get there, I'll have to meet you and have a coffee or something.
100%. Totally up for it.
Awesome. Have a good day.
You too. Lots of love. Bye.